at church. I did the worship stuff, like the lyrics and all that stuff, projection, and he played the piano. We were good buds and all that stuff. And it's really weird because he told me one day I was at his house, he said, don't take this wrong. He said, don't like freak out or anything, but he said, if you were a girl, I would so date you. And I was like, I'm like, isn't that? Yeah, well, 2 months later, surprise, right? And so he was actually there through my whole transition, and we did not date until I was actually able to go out in public as a woman, because I didn't believe, for me, that like the gay thing, I just wasn't really into it. So I was like, when I can go out and be your girlfriend and you'll be my boyfriend, then I'll do it. And sure enough, we did, and dated for 1.5 years, and yeah, all kinds of fun stuff.
And how has being transgender changed your religious views?
It's opened me up a lot. I'm actually still very involved in church, and I don't go to like a LGBT church. I just go to a normal, just non-denominational church. They don't know I'm trans. That's the catch. The women's ministry may find that it's a little awkward if I, you know. In fact, I was up on stage, and they were like congratulating me for all the work I've done there. But I know some people like forget all their religious beliefs. It's made me stronger, but it also opened me up a lot more because, of course, I got told I'm going to hell and all this stuff from all my old friends, and I personally don't believe it that way. I see the Bible as a lot more open than people make it out to be, and I find that religion is what is probably going to ruin us as a society someday. But you know, faith, I think, is very open. It don't matter who you are, a person is a person. So that's my personal belief, at least. I love all y'all.
Let's see, I was Roman Catholic, and like many Roman Catholics, I got better. Well, okay, if you go into many, many different communities, you'll find lots of ex-Roman Catholics. It's really kind of interesting, especially in like the pagan community. You can't really swing much of anything without being an ex-Catholic. But I kind of like my whole gender, and it depends on what you want to swing. Kind of like with my gender and sexuality. My religion's kind of trans as well, because it's this interesting mix of Buddhism, Taoism, shamanism, and neo-pagan beliefs that works really lovely, and it's very consistent, and it makes people crazy, because I can go, they go, do you have a book to read it? Why, yes, I have several. Would you like any of them? And then they're like, what books? And I can, I like the Tao Te Ching, the Dhammapadas, you know, shamanism doesn't really have any, but there are a lot of really good books from, you know, Black Elk Speaks and stuff. And neo-pagans, you can get 4 neo-pagans in a room and get 8 opinions. It's really funny. So, yeah, just kind of, being trans kind of opened me to everything, kind of. So.
Oh, you're going to love this. No, I gave up a bunch of other things. Thank you. I am a Southern Baptist preacher's kid. My dad's mother was a missionary to Japan. I was the oldest of 3 boys, so they thought I was going to become a minister too, just like my dad. Uncle was a minister, cousin a minister. There were other missionaries in my sort of like immediate family on my dad's side. So church is very, very important to me. I grew up in the church, Southern Baptist. So I couldn't say anything. I want to be a girl. It was just very hard, so I kept a lot of things to myself for many, many years. So it's hard to come out. When I did, of course, I'm going to hell. But my parents said I'll still look. Well, they still love me though. They still communicate with me. They haven't thrown me under the bus like some transgender people. I go to Holy Trinity Community Church in Nashville. It is an affirming church of the United Church of Christ. There are about 4 churches in Nashville. They're all a little different. Ours is the only one that's 80% gay. The pastor, Pastor Cindy, is one of the most awesome pastors I have ever met, and I have met a ton of them in my life. She is really great. Her partner is too. The church, I mean, the first time you go in this church, don't go in this church unless you want a bear hug, because these people will hug you. They will love you from day one, whether they know you or not, and they'll continue to love you. They want you to be a member of their church. They want you to know Christ. And it's an awesome church, whether you're gay, transgender, whatever journey you're on, they want you to know God. So it's taken me a long time. I am a Christian. I tried to explain this to a lot of ministers and it never did sink in. But I gave my heart to Christ many years ago. And I have a soul. I believe in that. And I also believe that when I pass from this earth, that my soul will be caught up in heaven and go to be with God. That's my belief. Now, being transgender, even though a lot of people tell me that I'm wrong, and I'm telling God He's a liar because I'm changing my sex, that's their belief. I can understand that. I can understand where they're coming from. I've read the scriptures. Constantly reading the Bible over and over and over again. So, but it doesn't matter whether you're gay. Like I said before, God knew me when I was in my mother's womb. So He knew how I was going to turn out. And whether I was going to accept Him or not, that's left up to me. So it's been very hard to grow up Southern Baptist, to grow up in that type of atmosphere, with the type of people that are my relatives and all. And there's some of them who still don't know. I've got one brother who's accepting, one brother who is not. I've got some of my relatives say, do not tell so-and-so that you're transgender. You'll embarrass the family. Okay, we'll find that, so be it. I am who I am. And if they can't take it, well then I'm sorry. But that's just the way it is. You can still be a Christian. You can be gay, you can be lesbian, you can be transgender. But the most important thing to me is knowing God, and it helps me through every single day of my life. Because I don't know how, you got other people who are Buddhist and whatever, but for me, I talk to God, He talks to me, and He helps me through every single day of my life. I don't know how I could do it. I think I would have already committed suicide by now if I didn't know Christ.
Hey, if Christ could accept Judas, He could accept us.
Well, for me, I'm kind of multicultural. I grew up in a very household of, my mother was pagan, my dad was Native American, and my stepdad was Pentecostal. So, yeah, I grew up where you got to choose your religion. And so just as puberty hit, not only was I exploring sexuality and gender identity, I was exploring religion, and I studied the most random things, and I've kind of made my own little religion. And I think sometimes in my head, I've studied Judaism and Muslim and Buddhism and paganism, and and I get a little bit of everything, and I think that's what suits me. And as I was transitioning, I had that battle with Christian faith, or a God faith per se, and kind of just trying to decide, as I transitioned, I had to fight with the whole spiritual concept of it, which was pretty hard, because when you are dealing with that, you do get, anybody who's in the gay or lesbian community also knows this as well, that you're constantly fighting with that particular group of people telling you that you're wrong. So when you're dealing with your gender identity, you can't help but to fight with the God concept, just because it's constantly being thrown at you, or you're going to hell, or something like that. So you have no choice but to kind of sit down and go, okay, what do I believe? And I think every person has their own different belief. Some people, I think, go more towards religion, and I think a lot of people run away from it to an extent. Depending on how they were raised, it can get kind of trying. So for me, I just kind of picked the best of all the religions and kind of made it my own. And I just stuck with the mantra that faith is not in a floor plan. I don't need a building. And I just kind of make my own stuff as it goes. And